the Ed Slott Master Elite IRA Advisor Group, as well as a sought-after speaker on such topics as income planning, 401k rollovers, and advanced IRA reduction strategies. When not working in her private practice, Annalee joins with other certified senior advisors to promote top-quality services to mature adults in the Pensacola area. Her goal is to help you prepare for and live comfortably in retirement. You can reach her office at 437-3127 or online at mainstaypensacola.com, or call her now at 437-1620 on Winning with Annalee.
Everyone's a winner at Mainstay, right on the corners of Antes and Perry. Good morning, Miss Bridget. How are you?
Good morning. How are you doing?
Oh, well, I'm glad the rain held off till I at least got here. I mean, you know, but at least we've had a couple of days with no fog.
I know. It's making me a happy girl.
It's a happy thing. And on Friday afternoon, we went over to the beach for a late lunch, early dinner type thing. And so we go down, and of course, guess what? You cannot even see the water.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. It was like, well, good. What a wonderful afternoon at the beach. But today is sunny. Thank goodness. Welcome to Winning with Annalee at Mainstay. I'm so glad you've joined us today. I want you to remember the show is for you and it's all about you. I come here every week to hopefully educate you and somehow make your life a bit better. Give you a tidbit that you hold somewhere in the back of your mind, and when you need it, poof, it comes up and it's going to be there. And hopefully you remember and say, Annalee told me that. She knew what the doggone she was talking about. So today it's going to be just you and I. That's and Bridget. We'll let Bridget listen too.
Yeah.
You know, she's learning stuff, so we're going to let her listen. But I want you to call me if you've got a comment, if you've got a question. If you want to come visit me in the office, call the office, 437-3127. Kristen will be glad to set up an appointment. We'll sit down, we'll talk, won't cost you anything, and we'll see if I can be of help to you or not. If I can, I'll let you know that. If I cannot, I'll let you know that. If I need to send you to somebody else, doggone, I'm going to let you know that too. So, you know, I like a whole see-through situation where we deal with each other honestly and openly. So if you want to today, give me a call, 437-1620, or text us. Would love to hear your questions and your comments. So today I want to do kind of a hodgepodge of different things because, you know, we're getting into that time of the year. We're almost into March. So I find a lot of my people, especially teachers, are starting to think about, should I not retire? It seems to be, and it's almost a pattern. I don't know what makes it happen, but this seems to be the time of the year when people start really seriously thinking about, can I retire? Can I stop? So these are the things I'm going to encourage you to do if you're at that stage. First of all, get together with a good planner. You can call us, get together with a good planner, and put together a plan. Can you stop? So you've got to sit down and you've got to talk about what are you making now? What are you going to make when you retire? What are your expenses? And then we've got to build into the plan. And see, this is where sometimes it really gets messed up. You have to build into the plans the what ifs. The what ifs. What if I have to have a new roof on my house? What if I've got to buy a new automobile? What if I have to have a major dental procedure done? See, all those things need to be put in, and a lot of them we know they're going to happen. We haven't done them before we've retired because very truthfully, we're just too doggone busy to get them done. I mean, that's what happens. You know, I've got a spot on my roof. I know it needs to be checked. When do I see it? Either on a Saturday evening when I'm going in and out of the house, or a Sunday, and I'm like, okay, next week I got to call somebody to come look at that. What happens? I get into the office and the roof is nowhere in my brain. It's gone. It's nowhere in my brain. So we get to that retirement stage and we start thinking, okay, now I'm going to have the time to do all of the things that I haven't had the time to do. But first, we've got to decide, can we stop? So we look at different things and we say, well, all right, you could stop now, but if you wait another year, 6 months, 8 months, 2 years, look at the difference that it's going to make in your future. So sometimes we have to move the goal. You say, so we might have had this thing that we said, okay, I am going to retire no matter what come April of 2019. But then when you run all the numbers, you say, whoa, if I do that, by the time I'm 80, I'm going to be broke. Not a good idea.
No.
Okay. So this is why you sit down and you do the plan and you say, well, do I need to move the goal back a bit and increase my retirement, increase my savings, do the things that I need to do? The other thing I have a lot of people do is they make a decision to go part-time. They don't stay full-time at their work because sometimes part-time will give you enough to be able to do what you want to do. You don't necessarily have to work 40, or if you're like me, 50, 60 hours a week. And I am slowing down.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. That's my
60
slow
hours
schedule.
is slow.
Yeah, that's slow.
All right.
So you look at it and you say, well, maybe if I go part-time, or if you're a business owner like I am, what can I do to slow down a little bit and still get a paycheck for the next year, 2 years? It might not be as much as I normally have, but it's enough for me to pay the bills, still have some money to save, and start enjoying the things that I want to enjoy. So maybe you want to go part-time. Or maybe, and I have a lot of my clients that do this, especially those that are in professions that require use of the brain, they do consulting. I've got some clients that, and this is true, this is the truth, Bridget, they make more money consulting than they did when they were working full-time.
Wow.
Yeah. You see, that the employer no longer has the responsibility of them as an employee. So they don't have to pay benefits. They don't have to, provide sick time. They're just paying straight salary. You come in, you work, you're gone. And I have, very truthfully, clients that were making the transition where they're now consulting and actually making as much or more money than they did before.
That's crazy.
It is. It is.
I've never thought about that.
Yeah, it's something you need to think about, especially if you have an expertise in an area that it takes a younger person coming in time to learn all of the parts that go into making that wheel turn. You see? So you go in and you're a mentor for the people coming in, as well as making sure the job gets done. But, all those after hours things, guess what happens? When you leave, the younger people get to take that over. That's fair to me. So think about that. Do I want to maybe stay a little bit longer doing the job that I do, or maybe do I want to go part-time or become a consultant? And see, this is where working very, very closely with your advisor is an important thing, because now I was on the phone yesterday with one of my teachers in Alabama who's retiring. We did a conference call. I've done her plan for her. We updated it, sent it all over to her. We went over it yesterday, and we've made the conclusion. Yes, if you want to retire, you will be able to go ahead and retire, with the understanding that you can't go crazy. Okay? I mean, it's true.
Some people probably do.
Oh, a lot of people
want to go
do.
Crazy and nuts.
Oh, yeah, because see, you've been saving all this money all these years, and it's like you've got a 401k here
Mhm.
at the radio station. Do you ever think about that money is yours?
No.
No. Why? Because you're just putting money in there,
Yeah.
and that's for somewhere way down the.
I am so far away from looking at that.
Yeah, you just put your dollars in. You don't really think of it as, whoa, that is my money over there. So all of a sudden, when we retire, for the first time, you have this big sum of money that now becomes 100% your responsibility, and it's yours. You see? So sometimes people look at that, and if you imagine this, and the best way I can do this over the radio is to do a ruler. So if you've got money that would fill up, let's say, the space of a 12-inch ruler, but you think it's the size of a yardstick, you see, and people do that.
Yeah.
And they think, oh, man, I got all this money. I can go do this. I can go do that. I can go do this. And then they come to me 2 years too late and say, well, I thought I could retire, but you know what? My money's running out. Because they never did the plan that said, this is how much you can spend every year. This is, all right, if you want to do all these other things. Another client I just met with, he retired with a very, very nice size 401k, okay? So he says, well, I might want to just move down to South Florida and buy myself a new house and pay cash for it. I said, okay. I said, how much do you want to pay for that house? And he told me. So I put the numbers into his plan. I said, well, if you want to do that, make sure it's a house you really, really like, because look what happens at 80.
Oh.
He had no money.
Oh.
He had no money.
Oh, my God.
But you see, he looks at this big sum of money and thinks, I can
Excitement.
do anything I want. I can do anything I want. No, you can't. Not unless you know that, within a year, 2 years, you're not going to be here anymore. Well, then if you want to go spend it, I guess go spend it, unless you got some money to leave it to. But look at what's going on. So we might want to say, all right, I'm going to push my retirement date back some. I'm going to go part-time, do some consulting. But here's the big thing that you want to do while you're doing that. Play catch-up in the 401k and the IRA. See, if you're going to stay longer, make sure you put more money aside. And don't go to this. There's this thing going around, and I don't know why people think that. Well, I do know why they think this, and I'll explain it to you. But they think if I'm putting into a 401, I cannot do an IRA. That's wrong. Okay? So you can have an employer plan that you're putting money into, but you can also have an IRA. Now, if you make what the government terms too much money, personally, I have no idea of what that is, too much money.
I know, it's not even possible.
I mean, no, it isn't possible because if you got money and you're being stingy with it, shame on you. But if you got money and you're doing good for everybody else and for your family, and, there is no such thing as having too much. So, but the government has limits on how much you can put into an IRA. And they'll say, well, if you're making too much money, it is not tax deductible if you put money into an IRA. So you can still put it in. Mm-hmm. It's not tax deductible. And you can do what we call a backdoor Roth IRA. Because if you put it into the IRA, you're not getting a tax deduction in the first place, right? So as soon as it gets in there, it gets established, what do? We convert it over to a Roth. Well, there's no taxes due on that conversion because you didn't get a tax break when you put it into the traditional. Nothing says you cannot do both. Everything I'm talking about is 100% legal. That is the one thing I will never do for you, okay? People come in with these wild, harebrained ideas sometime. And, can you do this? Can you do that? Can I? Yes. Will I? No. If it isn't legal, I'm not doing it, okay? If it's even in shades of gray, I'm not going to do it. And I want you to be careful about that kind of stuff, all right? So play catch up, the 401k, the IRAs, especially on those 401ks. If you are getting any matching, make sure you do up to whatever they're going to match. Never walk away from free money. My 2 favorite words, tax-free. My second 2 favorite words, free money. Okay, don't walk away from either one of those.
I like the sound of that.
Yeah, you know. So remember, if you got a question, you want to make a comment, call us at 437-1620 or give us a text. Let's hear from you. It's a good thing to know that you're listening. Go ahead and text us. Bridget gets excited when she sees texts coming in.
I know. I love it. I love the participation. But we have just a little comment from Nancy and Jerry, and she just says, thank you. You always have tidbits for us retired folks and inspirational thoughts that we carry on throughout the entire day. So that's just a little sunshine on your Tuesday morning through Nancy and Jerry. So thank you for listening.
Thank you, Nancy and Jerry. You just put a smile on my face. See, it makes me want to tell you more stuff. I know.
Please do.
I know. Okay. Now, while we're talking about putting money into your IRA, your 401k, if you have a spouse, make sure you're contributing for them also. Because, people, again, they forget that, they'll come in and say, well, I can't do anything for my spouse, my husband, my wife, whatever, because they're not working. That's called a spousal IRA. You can put in for your spouse and put up into the max because, all right, people, I don't know if y'all are aware of this, if you have looked at the tax tables, but for this year, for 2019, those of us over the age of 50, not you, Bridget, those of us over the age of 50 can now put into an IRA $7,000 a year. We've gone up from $6,500 to $7,000. So a married couple, you can put aside $14,000.
Wow.
Okay? Take advantage of that while you've got the opportunity to do that. And one of the reasons I really get excited about this is because, most of the time, now not always, but most of the time as we get older, one of the things that we do is we don't carry credit card debt. We like to pay debts off, and we want to go into retirement with as little debt as we possibly can. Well, that gives you more expendable money. What better place to put that than into a Roth IRA? Because when you go to take it out later, guess what? Tax-free. Tax-free. And see, once you're past 59 and a half, I've had people come in and say, I don't want to do that because then I got that 5-year rule on not being able to take out of the Roth. Once you're past 59 and a half, that rule ceased to exist. So don't worry about that. Build up the tax-free money. Leave that money alone if you possibly can. Let that be the last money that you use, because I don't know, if history repeats itself, which it always does because we don't read history and learn from it, if history repeats itself, the tax tables are going to go back up again. Wouldn't it be nice to have a sum of money sitting out there that if you need $5,000, you reach in and you get $5, put it in your pocket. You don't have to reach in and get $6,000, $6,500 to put $5 in your pocket.
Okay.
See, that's why the Roth will last you longer, because you don't have to take as much of it out. No required minimum distributions on the Roth, which again will make it last longer. Unless you inherited a Roth, then you've got to make a required minimum distribution. So don't forget that little tidbit in there, but I'm talking about you doing that. So grow your spouse's tax advantage money. The more that's saved, the better you're going to be. So we talked about, working, and maybe you want to do this while you're working. Do a job on the side. My teacher, I was telling you about that's retiring. She's been tutoring for the last 3 years. Guess what she's done with that money every year? First, we paid off the bills. Okay. After we got the bills paid off, she's been socking that away. She's been socking it away. So she's putting her 403, well, she's got a 403B at the school. We also have an IRA she's put into, and then she's got an additional stack of money that she's been putting away that now is a part of her savings and also an emergency fund for down the line. So start being creative. Start thinking, what are some of the things that you like to do? And maybe, you could tutor. Maybe you've got musical talent and you could teach guitar lessons, piano lessons. I mean, whatever it might be. I've got a couple of people that I've met that are at Publix. I've gotten to know them because all the people at Publix are so friendly.
Shopping really is a pleasure there.
Oh, it is.
That's
you
what they
walk
say.
in, they're like, how are you? Can I help you find something? We talk to them. But a couple of them that I've kind of gotten to know, they have full-time jobs, and they go there and they work on the weekends.
Wow.
And they enjoy it. They're meeting people. Mm-hmm. They're having fun with what they do, but they're doing this so that they can bring their retirement date closer.
Mm.
Think about it, and I know we all get in that thing where you got to have time off and time away. So, do something that's different where you're meeting people, you're enjoying people, you're bettering yourself. I think, and I get asked this all the time, when are you going to retire? But I think personally, communication with people, working, moving, exercising, I think all those things keep us younger. The more you work that brain, whether that be doing numbers, reading, talking to people, because communication takes brain power, it helps you to stay younger. And that means you stay healthier. So, think about those things, okay? Okay, here's one that some people don't like to hear about, but, oh, man, we all got to hear it. All of us, and this starts when we're kids, even the dogs do it. We collect stuff, S-T-U-F-F, stuff. You ever think about how much you really have? Mm. It's like unbelievable. I mean, when I say even the dogs do it, I look at my dogs. Now, there is a toy basket in the master bedroom. There is a toy basket in the office. At the house, there is a toy basket in the office on Cervantes. There is a toy basket in the motorhome.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, yeah.
Spoiled.
Oh, yeah. And we're not going to go through the number of beds that they have because those are multiple, okay? So how much stuff can you have for 3 little dogs that just, and believe me, if you move something, they know it. I bathed them this weekend, and, of course, I undid all the beds to bathe. Oh, well, they were frantic. It's like, what'd you do with my bed?
Doing?
Where's my bed? I should have that bed right here, and it isn't here. I'm not happy with this. So they know when their stuff is not where it should be.
That's great.
So, sometimes we got to start thinking about the fact maybe we need to start downsizing. Oh, that's a scary word, But think about it. Many of you out there, you raised families. You had 2, 3, 4 children. You are all in a house. Now it's just the 2 of you. Do we really need all that room? Because you know what tends to happen with those rooms? They start getting full of stuff.
Yep.
And instead of starting to get rid of stuff, we're getting more stuff. And you got to think about it. Somebody's going to have to clear all that out one of these days. Don't do that to your kids. So think about
Please don't.
Bridget says, please don't.
Mom.
Give me your mother's phone number.
I know, right?
Right now. Give me your mother's phone number. I'll call her at break. So you got to start thinking about, do I need all this? Because if you're in a 4-bedroom house, maybe you only need a 2-bedroom house and a space for an office. That could save you a lot of money because remember, even though the house is paid for, what do you still have? You have insurance, you have taxes, you have upkeep. The smaller the house, the less all of those are. So think about those things, okay? So we're going to go find out what's going on in the world in just a minute. When we come back, we're going to pick up on that idea of downsizing. I can tell you, I've actually started doing some of this myself. I've started going through. I redid my office at the house, and of course, redoing means you have to empty everything.
Oh, yeah.
And then put it back in. And as I'm going through some of these things, I'm like, why do I still have that piece of paper? Doesn't make sense.
It's hard.
It's hard.
I need to do it too.
All right, we got to go get some good news, right?
So your schnauzer.
Now back to the Pensacola Expert Panel with Bridget Kay on News Radio 92.3 AM 1620.
All I do is win, 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 no matter what. Got money on my mind, I can never get enough. And every time I step up in the building, everybody hands go up. And they stay there, and they stay there,
and they stay there. Up, down, up, down. I know. I always have to come back to earth after I hear
love
that
it.
song. You know,
I always feel like I'm in a club and I'm with
we're in the disco here. We need
I got all the buttons.
We need to put one of those little lights in the ceiling. You know,
I think that would be neat. Yeah. Everybody will know when we're coming back.
That's it. That's it. And the people on the interstate would be going nuts because they would see the light. I think it would be interesting.
I think that would bring a lot of attraction.
Welcome back to Winning with Annalee. I'm your host, Annalee Leonard, president and founder of Mainstay Financial Group, right on the corners of Antes and Perry. We have a text that we're going to go to, but before we go to that, I just want to say one thing because it's happened in my office this week. I am extremely protective of my staff. I have a very firm rule, and if something goes wrong and you don't like it, talk to me about it. Don't be rude to my staff. I cannot take that. We don't do that within, and I can't handle it when somebody does that to my staff. It's like I always end the show. It's like, be nice. Say please, say thank you. If you're not happy about something, let's sit down like adults and talk it out.
Makes a world of difference.
Yeah, it makes a whole world of difference. And then everybody's happy. We go play again. It's kind of dumb to just throw sand and walk away and pout.
It costs nothing to be nice.
Yeah, it doesn't cost you a thing to be nice. And gosh, it makes the world so much better. Really, really does. So let's go, Bridget, to the text. It's rather involved, and I'll answer it as best that I can.
All right. So this person says, I work as a correctional officer for Escambia County. We have the FRS retirement program. I started late in life at age 48. So in 20 years, when I'm 68, I could take the pension plan, or should I invest it now in the 401k plan so it would build faster than the pension, which would be better off for me because we're only allowed to change it from pension to 401k once in a career?
Okay, first of all, thank you for doing the job that you do. That is not an easy job, and you need to know that there are those of us out here who appreciate you doing what you do. Now, to answer that question and to really, really get into it, I would say to you, come on into the office, let's sit down and talk. But here's what it really boils down to. This whole thing really boils down to individual personalities, okay? Because if you're the type of person that has to have something that is secure, you know that every month X amount of dollars is going to be put into your checking account, then you need to go with the pension, okay? Are you following where I'm going? Now, if you're the type of person who is more forward and more adventurous, let's say, in your thinking, and you see that potential, and you're willing to put that money in and invest it, but invest it wisely, which means you've got to balance that 401k. You've got to change that balance as you get older. We've got to look at it and look at things like the back-end cost of the funds that are offered, what's offered. Then you definitely go to the 401k. Now, let me give you this as a comparison. there are those of us like myself who are very entrepreneurial. I've had friends that say to me, I don't know how you do it. You have no security. Yeah, I do. You know why? Nobody can fire me. I mean, hello.
That's very true.
Yeah, nobody can take my job away. Nobody can change my job without my permission. So I know that, yep, all these years I've worked, the only time I would have any kind of pension would be the money I put aside myself. But I have the type of personality that allows me to do this and enjoy it immensely. You know, I don't worry every night when I go to bed, oh gosh, am I going to have the money to pay the bills tomorrow? Because my salary comes from my business, and guess how my business is able to pay me a salary? From the work that I do. I don't worry about that because I know if I do my job well, I stay consistent in what I'm doing, it's going to all happen. But you have to have a certain personality to do that. You really do. Not everybody can go out and work on their own. Okay, so same thing with your question. Do you do the FRS? Do you do the 401k? It all really boils down to your personality and being aware of what you're doing and being in control of what you're doing. So there is no yes, no answer for that. That's where I'm trying to go. If you want to come in the office, call them right now, 437-3127. Tell Kristen you want to come in and talk to me. We'll run numbers. Because the numbers don't lie. You know, that to me is the best way. And you can look at it and you say, whoa, okay, if I do this, this is probably what I'll wind up with. If I do this, this is what I'm going to have as a pension. Which way do I want to go? And believe me, I've dealt with a lot of people that have that same decision to make. And I've got them that go on both sides of the coin. Okay, but again, I'm going to advise you, make sure that you're also putting into your own IRA. That's an important thing. That's an important thing. Okay, so hopefully that was of some help to you, and thank you for texting that. That shows your thinking. I appreciate it. Okay, so let's go back to downsizing the homestead. So we might want to go to something a little bit smaller. A lot of my clients, and this has been happening over the last 15 years, a lot of people tend to, as we become older, they become renters. They sell the homestead, so they got that big piece of money in their pocket now that they can afford to pay rent. Well, guess what? They don't have anymore. They don't have to worry about the lawn. They don't have to worry about the roof. They don't have to worry about the insurance. They don't have to worry about the taxes. So a lot of those things that we've become so accustomed to taking care of, those are now gone. So either renting apartment situations. I have one of my couples, I love them, sweet, lovely, wonderful couple. They recently decided they were going to go downtown to some of those new apartments that were there. They love it. They get to walk right downtown for all the events. They've got wonderful restaurants right around the corner. They downsized and they got rid of the house. People that go into independent or assisted living communities, that's what you're doing. You're renting. You're renting. So don't poof that idea out. Think about it. You'll know if the time occurs that it's the right time. Now, if you want to stay in your house, and I'm not saying this is right or wrong, again, it depends upon you and what you want to do within your life. Think about something like a reverse mortgage. You've paid all your life to pay off a mortgage. All a reverse mortgage does is pays you the money back. That's what it's doing. And it gives you money to live on. You stay in your house, till you permanently leave it. When you permanently leave it, whatever is due is owed back plus interest. But HUD's involved, so the kids are not responsible. You have to know that. But I would encourage you, if you're going to do something like that, do it locally. Do not do these things via the phone, via UPS. We have a connection through our Senior Alliance of a company that does them right here in Pensacola. They're good people. They'll sit down and explain to you, these are the goods, these are the not so goods, these are the parts that people really don't like, because you've got to be educated on all sides. There is nothing that's perfect. And I'm not saying those are a perfect solution. They are a possible solution. Okay? Now, here's another one. We're getting ready to retire. We're wondering if we can, if we can't. And again, this is one we don't like to think about. Trim down your cost of living. Now, that might mean when I go out to eat with the family, I don't always pick up the bill. Oh.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Okay? Because now your kids are working. They're adults. They have, hopefully, JOBs. And if they don't, they better go get one. So I've got a lovely, lovely couple. They have several kids. They have grandchildren. Well, they'll go out to eat. And I mean, literally, you're talking about a small tribe that's coming in. And they're picking up the whole bill. And it's like, people, you have to stop that.
Mm-hmm.
Let them pay for theirs. You pay for yours. Or rotate. All right, this time you pick up everybody's bill. This time you pick up everybody's bill. Because guess what? The kids have excellent jobs. They're making really good money. Stop. Because you know what's going to happen if you keep doing some of these kinds of things. As you get older and you run out of money, they're going to have to step up and take care of you. So this leads to the next one of, talking to them about the fact that, listen, I can't keep doing this unless you want to put money out for me later on. And I guarantee you, 99.9% of them are going to say, don't worry, Ma, I got the tab.
Mm-hmm.
Because they don't want to look forward to the fact that they're going to have to start paying for your expenses later. So your first responsibility at this stage has got to become yourself. You gave them life, you put them through school, you fed them, you listened to them, you stood up for them. Now it's time for them to stand up for themselves and stand up for you. So take care of yourself, please, okay? Now, some of these next ones, you got to be real careful with. One of the suggestions in this article was welcome a roommate. Be very careful with that. Make sure it's somebody you kind of know, or if you get into this Airbnb or all this other stuff that's out there, some of this stuff makes me a little bit nervous. Mm-hmm. I know it's supposedly good, and but you
just don't know.
No, you don't know. I mean, and I know if Joan's listening, she's going to have a fit when I say this, but there are a lot of nut jobs and scumbags out there, and you just got to be careful. Be aware, okay? For me, that would probably be one of the last things that I do, and if I did it, it would be somebody that I know, okay? Here's the other thing, and this is one that I find very, very often. Don't overdo the emergency fund. I'll have people that'll come in and I'll say, well, what do we have set aside as an emergency fund? Oh, I got $100,000, $150,000 at the bank.
Ooh.
Oh, really? And what are they paying you? Oh, 1%. But that's my emergency fund. People, that's not an emergency. That's a total catastrophe.
That is your emergency.
I mean, it is. I mean, so you got all this money sitting there dormant. Don't overdo it, because it's always good. You got to have an emergency fund. Understand that. And for different people, it's a different amount. But for most of us, it might be 10, 20,000 that we need to keep that you can put your hands on in a heartbeat. Remember, money that you have sitting in the market, unless it's IRA, 401k, that type thing, that's liquid money. It can be put into your checking account within 3 to 5 business days. Most emergencies are going to hold off on the money that's in the bank till they get the rest of it. I mean, don't overdo that. And I see so many people overdoing it. Don't misunderstand me. Don't anybody go around saying, Annalee said I don't have to have an emergency fund. That is not what Annalee said. Annalee said you have to have an emergency fund, but don't overdo it. Okay? That's pretty simple. Get yourself a decent return on things, okay? I told you already, stop paying your adult kids' bills. That one just...
Oh, my gosh.
Really, that one just... I can't tell you how many people I have that'll come in, and they've got the money. They could go ahead. They could retire. They could lead a very decent life. But the next thing that comes out of their mouth is, well, you know, I'm paying for this. I'm paying for that. And it's like, why? Well, I want my kid to have what I didn't have. No, the way they're going to grow up, the way they're going to appreciate things is to work for it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, come on.
So gross.
It's a growth process, and you're stunting those people. So just think about it this way. You remember, and I've talked about this often, the one thing we all have in common is the fact that one day every one of us is going to leave this earth. Now, what's going to happen to that kid that you stunted who is now 35, 40 when you pass away and has no idea of how to be an adult? You just ruined them. So if you're mad at me, call me at the office. We can talk about it.
But be kind.
Be nice. Be nice when you fuss at me, okay? But just stop it. Make them grow up, for goodness sake. I mean, we got a lot of babies running around right now. We really do. And I'm not talking about the 6-month-olds. I'm talking about the 35 and 40-year-olds. A lot of babies. All right. Here's the last one. And to me, it's one of the most important. For some of you, you've already messed that up. You can't go back and undo it. But wait to take your Social Security. It's a gamble. I know it's a gamble. People say, yeah, well, what if I die at 70? I haven't collected any. Well, I know. But what are you going to do? If you don't need it, don't take it. I mean, between the age of 66 and 70, whether you're working or not, if you don't touch that Social Security, it is growing at 8% a year as far as the benefit that you will get. 8% a year. So think about it this way. If you were working and you're going to have a pension, and your boss said to you, listen, if you stay with me one more year, I'll raise your pension by 8%. Now, unless you really hated the boss and hated the job and it was driving you to insanity, most of us would stay that one more year. But we don't think of Social Security that way. Now, it used to be. People retired. They lived 3-5 years. They passed away. So the earlier they collected the Social Security, the better off they were. Now what's happening, we're retiring, and we've got another 15, 20 years of lifespan ahead of us.
Wow.
There are people that are going to be spending 30 years in retirement. 30 years in retirement. You got to have a nice backup to do that. The higher the Social Security is, the less money you're going to have to take from other places to supplement. So run numbers. Again, if nobody's ever run those numbers for you, excuse me, come in, we'll sit down, we'll talk, we'll run the numbers, doggone. So if you're thinking about, all right, Annalee, it's time for me to stop working. I'm ready to retire. Before you tell the boss, before you hand in the resignation, either come and sit down with me, sit down with an advisor that you trust, but please don't just sit with someone who gives you something and says, oh yeah, here, if we make 10%, you're fine. You want it laid out. Here's the pension if you got one. Here's the Social Security. Here's another stream of income that you might have. These are your expenses. These expenses are going to go away in 2022. So, that's going to happen. But what's going to happen if we need long-term care? What's going to happen if we have a market fluctuation? All that needs to be part of the plan. Okay? So before you do that, let's see. Let's go back through. Do we have to move the goalpost back a little bit? Do we have to work a little bit longer? Should we maybe go part-time or do consulting instead of just totally quitting? How much catch-up can you do in the 401k, the 403bs, the IRAs? Don't forget your spouse's IRAs. They don't have to be working as long as one of you is, okay? Now, a traditional Roth, working or not, a traditional IRA, working or not, you cannot contribute to once you reach the 70 and a half. 401ks you can, but a Roth you can contribute to as long as you have a JOB. Roth has no limit on age, okay? So remember that. Grow the spouse's plan. Look at maybe a side job. Think about that. Think about downsizing the homestead. Think about trimming your cost of living. If you know somebody you think y'all can get along, welcome in a roommate. But you know what they say, you don't really ever know somebody until you live with them.
That's for sure.
Make sure there are some very firm set rules as to what is allowed, what's not allowed, spaces, because you want to make sure you keep your private space. Those things don't work if you don't do that. Think about, maybe talk to somebody about a reverse mortgage if you think that might work. Don't have too much sitting as dead money in the emergency money. The one we all love to hear. Stop paying your adult kids' bills.
That's crazy.
2 words. Stop it. Okay? Wait on that Social Security as long as you possibly can. So, hope you got something from today. I had 2 other segments to go through, but guess what? We're not going to get to them because we got really involved in some other things. But that's okay.
That's great.
We'll catch up on those later. Okay.
I think we have a couple more weeks.
Oh, yeah, like how many? Okay. So let's talk about some things that are going on. Of course, you can visit us on Facebook.com/Mainstay Financial Group.